I'm going to try this because there's so much up here at the altar. If you can't hear me, give me the signal. We are almost around this circle one more time, making our annual pilgrimage into grief and death. And so many important truths wait for us here in the sacred space of sorrow. At the end of the Lenten journey, we will know in our bones that God sits with us in the dark too. In the wreckage, in the undoing, in the wounds, love sits by our side, taking every stinky toe of our souls in gentle hands, pouring cool water over the flawed, rough, ugly parts of our hearts with such affection, while saying, I am with you, and I will love you to the end. It is my hope that at the end of this Lenten journey, you will also know in your bones that you belong at this table with these people, to this God who, though the creator of the universe, would humbly kneel on the ground at your feet to tell you how much you belong to love. Jesus has made it a habit all along to have an expansive and unlikely guest list. You belong at this table. Peter, beautiful, charismatic, impulsive Peter, is only minutes away from spectacular failure to honor the integrity of his heart. James and John are still tussling over who is the greatest. I like to imagine that one or two of them were anxiously mother-henning, Jesus, have you eaten? That maybe one of them has drunk too much wine. And of course, one of them is on a course of self-destruction and betrayal. All of these characters, so willing, so open to something new, and so very, very flawed. And Jesus doesn't send any of them away, not even Judas. He washed Judas's feet, gave him bread. It was Judas that could not hold that much love, who fled. But Jesus had space to hold the brokenness, the anger, the betrayal of Judas's heart, to touch his feet, to tell him he was loved. You and I, we have beautiful, growing, and flawed hearts too. Whatever we bring here is welcome, because the wideness of God's grace is beyond our knowing. You belong at this table. We belong at this table together. It is my hope that at the end of this Lenten journey, you will know in your bones who you are called to be. In the urgency of the crashing world around us, it is hard to think about sharing a meal and washing one another's feet as a viable action plan. I would like crib notes about how to free people from prison camps, protests and political superpowers to protect the vulnerable. Stopping for some bread and wine feels comical when I think about the urgency. But it was urgent then, too. Occupation, brutal and terrorizing leadership, and for Jesus, imminent death were loud and present realities. And to that reality, this is the plan Jesus offers. Love one another, serve one another, wash each other's feet. Sacrificial love in community with one another and then out into the world. That is the revolution. I'm absolutely sure that the revolution will also include shouting loudly for the voiceless, protests, pushback, prison breaks, and all of our strength. But it will be rooted and grounded in the unshakable love of a God of death. Revolution and real society, our messed up relationships, instead of hiding, instead of to share. If these truths were held together with love. Can you imagine how much less damage we would all be doing to one another and to the world if the shame and brokenness and fear inside of us were safely and lovingly held? It It is my hope that at the end of this Lenten journey, you will know in your bones how profoundly and deeply you are loved. That the creator of the universe would choose to hold our dirty, stinky feet, would choose to break himself on the altar of this world in order for us to have an inkling of the expansiveness of God's love for us. And that as we apprentice ourselves now in the sorrow during this Lenten pilgrimage, so we will apprentice ourselves with joy as love overcomes death and hope floods into the darkness. But the revolution begins in the dark, grief-filled places of this world. If you have wondered what you can do in a time, in a country, where one terrifying violation of human dignity after another assaults your heart, start at the edges, in the margins, where our culture projects anything but welcome and belovedness, and both in reality and metaphorically hold feet. What long and painful paths have these immigrant man's feet walked, looking for safety? How many shoes has this trans woman's feet jumped in and out of, to pass, to hide, to be herself? What stories do the blisters and scars on the unhoused veteran's feet tell? Beloved, with all your heart proclaim these feet are not burden, they are not repulsion, they are not unwelcome, they are beloved. So join me now, with basin and towel, with bread and wine, in vulnerability and sacrificial love, shoes off in the front line of the revolution. Amen.